Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. I'm also a galactic shaman. And what does that mean? Shamanism is the original medicine on planet Earth. The first organized and documented medicine is Ayurveda, which is 5,000 years old. And then after that, you get Chinese medicine, which is supposedly 2,000 years old. And why do I add galactic to a subtitle of mine in terms of shamanism? Because I also deal with what makes us sick and what can keep us well, having to do with galactic energies. I can't really give you information on what's going to keep you well if you're not on planet Earth, but there's an awful lot of energies that are coming into planet Earth that's galactic that is very bad for us. And most of it's coming in via a portal here on the left side of the head. And it's coming mainly into people that are addicted to their cell phones, which basically is almost everybody. And particularly, it is affecting children and young people. So, we want to talk about shamanism today in relation to the hurricanes. Yes, I know there's a thought or there's information that these are man made, but they're still using the elements. And in shamanism, there's two things that you deal with. And Jesus Christ was a shaman. You deal with the elements, and Jesus started his ministry using the element of water in his baptism. I don't remember, was it with John that he was with? I don't know, because I've not read the Bible and I'm not a biblical person. But he used the elements, and Jesus Christ was always outside. And I think they did have buildings, and yet it's all outside. And the Last Supper was underneath a tree. Perfect. Perfect. You don't have to worry about balancing the elements. You're in the elements. The second thing that shamanism deals with and that Jesus Christ dealt with were spirits. So Ayurveda deals with both spirits and the elements. Chinese medicine does also. Chinese medicine, acupuncture, which is part of Chinese medicine, has 33 ghost points. In other words, meridians that have to do with ghosts, which are spirits. Most acupuncturists don't even know that. How did we get to this point where half of what has to do with health, which is spirits, is not dealt with? Unless you go to an actual shaman, of which there are not really very many, having to do with this part of the world or modern world. So no wonder the planet is sick, because those same principles apply to the planet. They apply to your body. They apply to your home. It's the whole balance of the four elements. And when they get unbalanced, then you have the spirits that come in. So you have to deal with both things. You can remove the spirits. I used to send people for spirit release therapy. And the person that did the spirit release therapy for a space of time was a psychologist that took courses, and she was very good, but she was very naive. Like after I went through several sessions, she told me I didn't need to come back anymore because I had taken care of everything she had checked. And I said, go ahead and sign me up for another session. What day can I come next? She said, no, you don't need to come back. I said, go ahead and give me a next appointment. I'll be back. And when I was back, there were more. We are really multidimensional, which means there's parts of us in many different places, and opportunities to be broken and opportunities to be invaded. So why am I talking about this today when we're at the edge of a destiny changing event, which is Hurricane Milton? Last night, the Mantrista movement, which is a group of people, and it's in Spanish, because if I did it in English, people would walk away disgusted and say that I was inventing things, and who did I think I am, and how do I, it's not, we can't deal with that. If you don't have the baseline knowledge, then we can't do this level of work because you're just not there. It's like doing something university level and you're kindergarten. You come in and this is like crazy. No, it's not crazy. You're missing foundational information. And I can't educate you in one session, but I am trying to educate you here, having to do with the relationship between shamanism and this hurricane. So yesterday, we ended up being like 400 people, which means there were more because the social media platforms reduce my numbers. Um, and it was very interesting because we reached a point where we could see in the other dimensions, because that's where we work, that we had reduced. What we did was we asked to reduce the fire element so that we wouldn't need Hurricane Milton. And we did. We did. So I'm going to show you the sketches from yesterday. This is what I sketched before we started to work last night, the Mantrista movement, this group of people, all of whom are getting trained to be remote viewers and shamans and all the rest of that. This is what Florida looked like. Well, that means you need a purification in Florida. Well, we got a little hurricane over here. Natural catastrophes are purifications, and they come when you need them. Now, this weather manipulation, that's another story, but it doesn't matter. We're still not going to give up just because there's a possibility that the weather was manipulated. We still are going to do our baseline work because I think that the principles should still work. It might be more difficult. So we worked for an hour with the Agni mantra music, which is the one with the cascading water, and the mantra about reducing the fire so that we don't need a catastrophe. We don't need Hurricane Milton. So when we finished, look how beautiful. This is a happy face. Wow. I was like, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. So then today I decided to get together, and we will get together again now at 8 to do it again and again. And this is in Spanish. Can't help you if you don't know Spanish. And I said, okay, let me sketch before we start to work. I didn't sketch afterwards. I should have, but I didn't. And this is what I sketched. Central Florida had gotten a massive healing, but we had worked on reducing the fire, and apparently we did. And then we got this line, and I went, oh, darn, what is that? And somebody said, that's protection. And I was like, I'm a pessimist. I'm a Cancer. We're basically pessimistic people. We see the glass half empty. That's true. That's just the truth. But we're willing to work to get it fixed. So that's the good thing. So we went ahead and went in, and we wanted to know what this line was. This line was protection. But let me tell you a story. This line is it's actually the Higgs field. It's actually, what do you call it? A grid, an energetic grid that's called the life web. That is the Higgs field. And for something to just rush in, that means that the Higgs field is broken. So this was a Higgs field, a life web that got set up to protect us. So then when we finished, I realized that I have a story to tell you. I was in the Bahamas on a dolphin trip that I had organized. And the captain of the boat that we were on, we saw a fish ball. Do you know what a fish ball is? It's where there's thousands of fish swimming in a literal ball, and they do that when there's danger and hoping that that mass that they can kind of escape the other sharks or fish that are going to come and eat them. It's called a fish ball. And until I don't know how many years ago, nobody had ever documented it, even though they were known. And now there's a lot of pictures. There was a fish ball there in Bimini. And so the captain of the boat that we were on got a little boat. We climbed onto a little boat to go closer to the fish ball. And at one point he said, oh my God, there's a tiger shark there. Well, we're in the boat, so we didn't have to worry too much. Anyway, we get back, and when we got back to the dock, he jumped off the boat that we were on and got out his little bicycle. And we said, where are you going? Because he was supposed to stay with us. He said, no, I'm going to the Shark Institute to tell them that I saw a tiger shark on the north bank of Bimini. Here, we don't see these on the north bank of Bimini. Okay. So the next day we go out on the boat, and he drops us off at this teeny weeny little island where we were going to do some meditations, whatever. And then he said, I'm parked on the other side of the island. The island was teeny weeny. Just get into the water and swim to the boat. I'll be there waiting for you. Okay. So when it was time to go, we had to pair off, and I paired off with a friend of mine. And my master said to me, Go straight to the boat. Okay. So I looked at my friend and I said, listen to me. We are not going to look at the little fishies. We're going straight to the boat. And she was like, eh. And I said, look at me. And she looked at me and said, we're going straight to the boat. And she looked at me and she went, okay, we get into the water. And my master said, the tiger shark is near. Just go straight to the boat. Well, why on earth would I get into the water? They said, just get into the water, just go straight to the boat. Okay. So we're in the water, we're swimming towards the boat. I am like semi-hysterical. And my master said to me, look, do you see what you're doing? What am I doing? I'm going straight to the boat. I'm dying here and I'm going straight to the boat, like you told me. Okay. They said, look. And when I looked, here's the island. This is me. And this is my friend who I'm kind of swimming with. You had to pair off. And over here, there is a grid. Like a fence that's like a grid. And they said, we're giving you protection, but your fear is breaking your protection. I was like, oh my God. Because fear does break your protection, but what it breaks is the Higgs field, the life web. And they said, and look, and then the cook for this trip, this dolphin swim, was outside of that protective grid. And they said, we can't protect her. She was hysterical. I think she was sleeping with the captain and they had a fight. It was like interesting. She was outside the grid, the protective fencing. Anyway, we swam to the boat. We got up and I was like, oh my God. And what my master said, drop your fear. It's not helping you. You're destroying the protection we're giving you. And I really understood it. And I just went, I can't do anything anyway. So I just let it go. And we went to the boat. As we're getting out of the boat, a couple of the girls that came after us said, God, I could feel that tiger shark near. Is that possible? I didn't say a word. So that grid is this that was put up. Now, does this last 2 minutes, 20 minutes? Fear. Oh, wow. Fear destroys it. Let's not look at the news because they are giving us information we need, but darn. So anyway, we went in and this grid was put there by beings, Beings. And I'm not going to go into more than that because you'll just click off and say, this lady's crazy. Okay. That's why you're behind, because you identify as crazy people that have advanced knowledge or have more knowledge than you have. That's why you're going to be at the back of the bus when it comes to being able to make good decisions, because your knowledge is this size when it needs to be this size at this point. So we're not going to tell you the story of who put this here, but it wasn't Jesus Christ. Even though I'm sure he would have wanted to help us, it was not Jesus Christ. You'd be comfortable with that, wouldn't you? Oh, Jesus Christ did this. But it wasn't. That would be inaccurate. And why would I be inaccurate? I'm a scientist. I have to tell you what I observe and what I see, even if it turns you against me. That's my job. To be good at my job, that's what I have to do. So this is what we had before we started the mantras, and I didn't sketch after, but we're getting back together now at 8 o'clock, and we're going to go back with the same mantra, which is, please God, help us with our intention to reduce the fire element, which is why we would get a catastrophe with water to put out the excess fire, to reduce the fire element so that we do not need Hurricane Milton. So if you want to help out, that's the mantra that you should do. And we had it up for like 10 hours on X and on YouTube in English, my YouTube in English, and of course YouTube in English said, you don't own that music, we're taking it down. I do own that music. Mateo Guaron did it for us. I'm not going to argue with them because they can always win, and I don't want them to get angry at me. At this point, they're controlling me, but they're not individually angry at me. But it stayed up and it stayed up an X, and then it got taken down, and it shouldn't have got taken down. We don't know what that's all about, except we do know what that's all about. Somebody wants you guys to be limited in your belief systems to the physical dimension while they are joking you around in the other dimensions And you don't even know those dimensions exist. And yet you call yourself spiritual. Well, what do you think spiritual is? Where do you think that's going on? Okay, so what are we going to do here? Why don't we go ahead and put on the Agni music, which is the one with the cascading cold water and the glaciers, which when you have it in your home, you're reducing the fire in your home. Somebody in the chat this afternoon said something that we all know. They've been using that mantra music for months, and there's less fighting in the family because you can't fight or get angry or emotionally violent unless you have an excess fire. If you have excess water, you fall into a depression. If you have excess air, you can end up with all the, I would say probably the dementia and the Alzheimer's, but I'm not sure of that. So we're not gonna, let's pull that piece of information back. But you cannot argue and fight, you can't kill, and you also cannot become suicidal unless you have extra fire. So as you are helping to reduce the fire on the planet in your home, because the 10-hour video that we have has a picture of the planet on it, so you will be reducing the fire on the planet. And how does that work? In the other dimensions, there is no time factor. That's really hard to wrap your head around. I get it because it took me a long time. There is no time. There is no distance. There's no foot, inches, miles. None of that exists. Those measurements do not exist. It's not that they don't apply, they don't exist. So if that's the case, well, that certainly explains how we can have a video with the proper frequencies and images that reduce fire, which is our Agni mantra music. And you can have a little picture of the planet on that video, and you're literally helping the entire planet reducing the fire because size doesn't exist in the other dimensions. So you don't have to have the whole planet there. You can have just a little picture of it. I know that's hard to wrap your head around. I get it. It's hard to wrap your head around. Okay. So we're going to do some shamanism now, but shamanism with modern technology, which is internet connection, this platform, Restream, which I'm very grateful for. And let's also be grateful for that we have 178 people when we usually have 40. And let's see where they're all coming from. 104 from X. This is good. So here's the mantra. Give me a second. And the mantras are repeated in silence. Okay, there's the mantra. It's on the screen. You repeat it in silence and blow the air out through your mouth. And hopefully I don't have any spelling errors. And now we're going to put the mantra music, which is the Agni video. Okay, here we go. And we're going to do 10 minutes. But I want you first. I'm going to give me a second. I want you first to measure how you feel from 1 to 10. 1 is you feel awful, and 10 you feel great. How do you feel right now? Because afterwards I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Then I'm going to show you the gold dress, and you're just going to assess it. How does it look to you? Is it really gold and white, or is it dull? Is it brown and blue? Okay. And I am going to sketch. I'm going to sketch this group. So give me a second. I have to get paper. And I'm going to sketch this group. Let me take, okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. We have a healing going on in the mouth. We have a healing going on in the third eye. We have a healing going on in the heart chakra. This is good. We have the planet burning up. I'm going to show it to you. Okay, give me a second. Okay. I was hoping that we would have some spaceships, and we do. I haven't done this for a while. I wonder why. Okay, this is what we have now. We're looking good. This is the fire on planet Earth. We are burning up. Heart chakra, good. Throat chakra, great. Third eye, great. We have the triple pyramids of protection, and these are spaceships, but they're purple, lavender, which means there's the good guys. So now let's go ahead and do 10 minutes of the mantra with the music. And, oh, you know what? Let me do it. Let me complete the task. Let's go ahead and draw the United States before. Forget whatever I drew this afternoon. This is for now. Okay, here's the map. And it's 10:08. And it's prior to mantras. And I have no idea what it's going to look like. Ay, Dios. Okay. Well, I can tell you one thing right now. I don't know why Elon Musk is in Florida right now, or is thinking about Florida, maybe because of the spaceships, but his happiness is creating a vibe in Florida. Okay? That's Elon Musk's vibe. I'm not focused on him. No, I'm not in love with Elon Musk. Okay? He could be my grandkid. I love him. Okay? Love and in love, two different things. Okay. So I'm looking for red. I'm not finding red. I'm not finding red. This is what my hand is sketching, and I can't sketch anything different. Why is Elon Musk happy? So happy? I have no idea. I think he had a big event today. I hope he did well, because I invested more money in his company. So that's the sketch now. We don't need to. Okay, so how does this jive with what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico with a big hurricane? Why am I not drawing the big hurricane? I'm drawing the other dimensions. So how is that going to translate to the science? What does that mean? Watch, let's see. When we did this last night, it went from a category 5, it went down to a category 4. Can you attribute it to what we did? You can't. We can, because of the sketches, because we believe the sketches, because we've been tracking what I'm doing for several years already, for 30, 40 years. But in terms of the Mantrista movement, we've been tracking. I sketch and then we look back. Just like the impeachment trial for Trump, we balanced the elements underneath the building where the trial was going on a Saturday night and on a Monday. We reduced the fire. Fire makes you anxious. It's what started the issue of insomnia. On Monday morning, during the impeachment trial, the guy that was running it fell asleep. Well, that means there wasn't a lot of fire there. We had reduced it on Saturday night. Now, would I have said that before so openly? No, because increasingly we are finding that as a group, us as a group, you guys as a group, we can make a difference. And we are making a difference. Let's get more people on board. Okay, 10 minutes of the mantra. And let's turn this on. Okay, I have no idea. What are we going to see in Okay. How do you feel? 1 to 10. What does the gold and white dress look like? Did it get more gold, more shiny, more white, more gold? Oh, yeah. Wow. It did for me. Okay. So now I get nervous because I'm going to sketch the map of the United States, which looked really good. Okay. So this is what we look like. We're talking about the hurricane. We didn't do the whole country, even though something interesting going on, I would have sketched it without. We see that there's a lot of happiness for Elon Musk. I guess his Tesla event went well. I have no idea. He's really happy. Something made him really happy. Powerful people can change everybody's destiny around them for the good or for the bad. And Elon's doing a really good job. If he wasn't around, can you imagine how boring things would be? And how much we can look forward to the future with the stuff that he's sharing, that is kind of, some of it is like, wait a second, do we really want to go there? We're going there anyway. The world is going there anyway. The connection between technology and the physical body, which none of us like initially, that's where we're going anyway. I got to say that story, it's going to be really short. When we found out that there were spaceships above the pyramids in Egypt, we did a chat in which we went and astrally, we did an astral travel trip, but conscious, awake, to the spaceships. And I told the Mantrista movement members to go inside the spaceship to talk to the aliens. I was trained in interspecies communication, but that's always existed. Okay, so we did. And I also went in and I was chatting with an alien. Actually, the alien was chatting, I wasn't. And the alien said, I think that I asked him, I'm not sure how that happened, but the alien said the spaceship was a continuation of their mind. It was a continuation of them, the spaceship. And I had heard that from people, the people that are on X, having to do with aliens and the fact that they exist and information that they have about them, that some of them said that the aliens said that the spaceships were part of them. It wasn't like an object over there and this is them. And they said, this is like Elon Musk's Neuralink, the connection between the individual and a piece of technology. And I went, okay, I got it. In other words, we're going to be connected to technology. We're admiring and afraid of the aliens because of their power, but their technology is an extension of them. So what do we hold them up as gods, the aliens, which is what we've done on the planet forever? Or do we have them here across from us and go, that's interesting. How do we benefit from that? And the Neuralink that Elon is working with and that has a lot of people distressed and nervous. I understand. I felt the same way myself. There's a really good reason for that. It's a part of our future. It's forward motion. So back to now I have to sketch. And I've been postponing because I'm nervous because I don't know what I'm going to sketch. And I don't want to sketch. What am I sketching? I'm sketching a big heart over Florida. I'm sketching what I get, which is not what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for anything. I'm sketching the biggest and strongest vibrations. I'm writing the words Trump satisfied. I don't know what happened today. But these two men, Elon's happy and Trump is satisfied. And I'm not sketching anything else. That's what's up. And like people can say, yeah, but no, that's not the way this works. I don't decide what I'm going to sketch. My training and my intention to sketch what's most important is what determines where I'm going to go. A training and an intention that was set in me decades ago. And I'm not going to change it because it works. It's made me very accurate. So why I'm not sketching something else, I don't know. Why am I not sketching? Why is the hurricane not coming up on this sketch and yet it was coming up in the other ones. Well, it actually wasn't. What was coming up in the other ones from yesterday was an excess of the fire element in Florida, which we apparently have taken care of. So I wanted to tell you something and it left. Oh, many years ago, I started to be able to see, and I would see people that I knew, and I would look at them and say, "You're going to have cancer within 2 years." And they'd go, "Oh my God." I'd go to the doctor. I said, "No, because you have cancer in the other dimensions. Your doctor's not going to be able to find it for a while now. For a year and some, he's not going to be able, 2 years, he's not going to be able to find it. Actually, 2 years, because I'm telling you, you're going to have it in 2 years. What I'm saying is that in 2 years, your doctor's going to tell you, and you will believe your doctor, and you're not going to believe me. So in 2 years, your doctor's going to tell you you have cancer, but you had it before." So the causal of cancer happens between 24 to 27 months before you're diagnosed. And I'm not going to go into how I got that information, but I will tell you that I have tracked that in people. Now, I'm not sure that that's as valid today because of the augmentation of fire on the planet from electronic devices. But I remember that I spent several years in which I would meet somebody who had cancer, or a friend of mine got cancer, and I'd go, "Okay, let's find the original injury." And I would tell them what the original injury was in terms of the emotional trauma, whatever, whatever, whatever. And I would actually be able to tell them when it started, which would have been between the 24 and 27. Believe me, I can't do that math in my head. Like, okay, so now we're in October. So then I can't do that. Even when I'm not reading, I can't do that. And people would say, "Well, I don't know, what happened that month, that week, whatever." And I would say, "Well, go back to your agendas and you'll be able to, maybe it'll trigger." And they would call back and say, "Oh my God, that's what this thing happened." So what's my point? Another story? No. My point is that there's a space of time between a manifestation on the physical dimension and the changes in the other. What does that mean in terms of Milton? I don't know. We do know that yesterday, coincidentally, no, the category of the hurricane went down right after we finished working. And we do know that we worked Hurricane Helene, but we only worked South Carolina. And from what I can see, South Carolina does not appear to have been so heavily hit as the other places. And I haven't looked to see if it's kind of weird that South Carolina had the hurricane and it wasn't that bad. I have no idea. So I don't know why it is that the hurricane, what difference is this going to make? It would appear that it dropped one entire level. We worked on it now, and we're going to work on it now at 8 again. How much is it going to drop? How big a difference is it going to make? It should make a big difference, but we will see. And that's the whole thing with science. You observe and you draw conclusions. And then if you do it enough and the conclusions all point in one direction, then you go, "Hey, look, not the way science is done today," where somebody has a conclusion that they want and then they set it up to where it points at that conclusion, which they determined from before. That's not science. That's manipulation. Okay. So I'm going to say goodbye. We are living in very interesting times. I'm very pleased that we have 200 people when we had dropped to like 40 people. So where the additional 150 come, I have no idea, but this is good and we appreciate it. And I hope I don't sound too arrogant and not get too impatient, having to do with struggling with the lack of knowledge, trying to explain to people things and to share and to teach. And then the gap in the knowledge is so big, it just kind of makes me look like I'm crazy, me sound like I'm crazy, or, I can't get to you because the gap is too big. That gap needs to, and our religion should have done that. And our religion just didn't do that. Our religion said, wait a second, there's other dimensions because there's spiritual stuff. There's spirits in other dimensions. We're going to stand between you and those spirits, those dimensions, and we're going to guide you in terms of spirituality. Meanwhile, they're looking at you. They're not looking at the other dimensions. Meanwhile, they're doing masses for the dead, and the dead that they had masses for are still roaming around lost because they don't know how to do even a decent ceremony to send people to the light. Very irritating. Hold on, and I will get you the mantrista, this music. I will get it for you. This so that you'll be able to use it. Uh yes. Here we go. Here we go. And wherever you play this music, you are going to be reducing the fire. So if you have a company, you have employees, you have kids, you have a wife at home who's very, can be very irritated. Once you get home, you have kids, you have whatever. Actually, every place needs a reduction of fire because it's not even coming a lot of times generated internally. All of our devices, the devices of the person who lives next door. I will not forget one night I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I could see that there was an older man that was struggling and wondering how to kill themselves. And so the next morning I called and they said, of course, they denied it. Of course, they denied it. I said, listen, come on, give me a break. I'm not accusing you of anything and I'm not putting it in the newspapers. And they said, well, it is true. I am struggling. I said, but something has to have changed. What? Where are you sleeping? No, I moved to a new apartment building. Okay, well, where's your bed located? Well, against the wall. Okay, yeah, the head of the bed. That's the case for all of us. Okay, I said, you need to find out what's rolling through that wall. It was a new building. The Wi-Fi of the entire building, the wires, the cabling, whatever you call it, was running in the back of the head of the bed. And he had been there for like 3 months. So he was fried mentally, lost all of his protection due to where he was sleeping and was suicidal. He finally admitted it. Yeah, but I'm never going to do it because I have responsibilities. I have a company. I have to run it. I have employees. Okay. So, you know what? You need to find out what's around your bed. We'll see you, actually, not tomorrow. We'll see you Thursday. So we're down to Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. Okay. And thank you for joining me.